Something curious you'll notice when you see North Korean soldiers is that they often use very shiny chrome weapons. This is very common in this country. Out of every 10 soldiers you'll see, at least 3 will use silver weapons. You might think this is for ceremonial purposes. However, this tradition goes beyond simple ceremonies. Indeed, these weapons are used in training and in combat. They are highly ornamented and very shiny weapons, so it's curious that they are used for combat. What sense does it make to use such flashy weapons on the battlefield? What is the origin of this? And directly, why do North Koreans use silver weapons? In this video, we will talk about the ins and outs of this unusual practice, so make yourself comfortable. My name is Kevin Aguilar, and this is Guns Club. As we know, military work is full of esotericism and traditions. Each country has its own around its cultural peculiarities. North Korea has been under the Songun policy of military priority for decades, so a nation so focused on the military field should have these traditions too, right? And it certainly does. Rewarding your soldiers with ornate rifles or anything is an affordable way to boost morale and encourage loyalty. For example, in '44, the Germans were losing more and more territory, and the morale of the soldiers was extremely low. There were cases where they simply deserted despite the harsh punishments or directly surrendered without fighting. The solution? Hand out more medals. Soldiers were commonly awarded the Second and First Iron Cross. Originally, earning one required 3 to 5 exceptional actions surpassing duty, like destroying multiple tanks or saving fellow soldiers. But by the end of the conflict, so many were being handed out, and for just about anything, that it was considered shameful not to have one. Over 4 million second class and 400,000 first class were issued. In difficult times, whether they are times of war or simple economic crises, giving out medals and decorations simply boosts the morale of the nation's members. This practice is extremely common and has been exploited for decades by North Korea. Rewarding the military is practically a tradition in itself in this nation. Look at their generals. Literally, they have medals all over their body, and I'm sure they have many more at home. The last military conflict they were fully involved in was almost 70 years ago. Basically, medals are usually given for almost anything, from working overtime in a factory to even just being in the good graces of the nation's leader. You can also inherit them, as is the case with chromed weapons, so people and military personnel simply have a lot of medals, as well as the medals themselves. The true Songun spirit is, of course, the weapons. So ornamenting and chroming these, and of course delivering them, is a quite popular practice in the nation. A wide variety of types are presented depending on the rank and achievements of the recipients. And in most cases, these chromed weapons were personally delivered to the soldiers by the Kim family member who was in charge at the time during visits to various military units throughout the country. In 1960, Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il inspected the headquarters of the 105 Armored Guard Division, the first unit to enter Seoul during the Korean War. This visit was very important and was broadcast to the entire nation. Nowadays, these inspections are almost always televised and widely covered by state media. They are done frequently, almost weekly. Inspection visits usually include the current leader traveling to one of the country's numerous military bases or factories to provide guidance to local staff. These ceremonies usually begin with the dictator's inspection of the active military unit, or simply formed in itself. In the end, usually 2 weapons and a chrome binocular are handed over, particularly a chromed 88 type rifle, a chrome 73 type light machine gun, and some brass binoculars. They are given to outstanding personnel of the factory or military unit. As I said, this usually happens almost weekly for decades, so as you can guess, there are many chromed weapons in the country. These are also often seen in the hands of honorary guards during military parades and public events. But these latter are not weapons that are given for some kind of merit, so they are not engraved. They are simply chromed weapons, nothing more. In addition, these weapons are also usually given to soldiers who have done outstanding work in their workplace or in combat. But how is it that they are given for outstanding work in combat, if Korea has not been at war for many decades? Well, indeed, these weapons are hereditary. So if your great-grandfather inherited a ceremonial weapon, you have every right to honor his work in combat, using this weapon in military parades or in training. Infantry soldiers are always given the Type 73 or the chrome-plated Type 88. But the most distinguished members of the Army are given Baekdu-san pistols, which are copies of the Norinco NZ-75 made in North Korea, which in turn are copies of the Czech ZDZ-75. It's funny how in Asia they make copies of a copy of a weapon. These are engraved with very beautiful ornaments and are very shiny. Of course, the machine guns and chrome rifles also have their own ornaments with their own symbols for the infantry. Having a chrome and ornamented Baekdu-san is a real symbol of power in the nation. And again, they are also hereditary. Very little is known about the subject due to the secrecy of this nation, and it is unknown exactly when these weapons began to be delivered. However, it is well known that Kim Il-sung was already delivering chrome Baekdu-san pistols to high-ranking officers in the 80s, so it is believed that after the 80s, seeing that this practice was very well received by the military personnel, it was extrapolated to infantry weapons and began to be delivered to the common troops. Korea has not been in a conflict for a long time. It is unknown if they will use these weapons in combat in Ukraine. They appear to not be using them, which would be a great disadvantage if used in combat. The concept of rewarding soldiers with ornamental weapons is not exclusive to this nation. In the Middle East and North Africa, it is common to find chrome or gold weaponry among some government officials. In Thailand, for example, soldiers from the King of Thailand's Royal Guard have been seen carrying golden tabor assault rifles. So, as we said, this practice is quite common in the world. If you like this video, you might be interested in this one, where we talk about the unknown EM-15 rifle, the successor to the EM-14 and the predecessor to the M16. I highly recommend it. Thank you so much for this video and see you in the next one. Goodbye.